Cedar Point can't just get away with removing Top Thrill Dragster. There's no way the park will be able to remove such an iconic attraction without replacing it with something even better. But Top Thrill Dragster has been closed all season now, and we still haven't seen signs of anything changing. If Cedar Point was replacing it, they should have already started tearing it down. And if they have plans to fix it, they should have started working on the ride already. So why is Top Thrill Dragster still closed? I think Cedar Point has a secret plan for Top Thrill Dragster, and I think they are about to shock us with an insane record-breaking coaster. But it's not what you think. There's two possibilities I see Cedar Point looking at now. They're either planning to remove Top Thrill Dragster and replace it with something major, or they plan to make some extreme modifications to the ride before reopening it. If Cedar Point was going to reopen it without making any major changes to the ride, they would have done so already. Why would they wait an entire season, leaving one of their best and most iconic attractions closed, only to open it a year later? They just removed Wicked Twister, so if their plan was to reopen Top Thrill Dragster as is, they probably would have done it already. That's why I think there is something bigger going on. The first option I think Cedar Point has is the option most people think is more likely. When I put up a poll for you to answer on what you thought was going to happen to Top Thrill Dragster, over 50% of you voted that you thought it was going to get removed. This is definitely what it looks like Cedar Point is working towards. They are planning to remove Top Thrill Dragster, but don't want to do anything just yet until they're positive they can replace it with something major the following year. Top Thrill Dragster was running fine 2 years ago, and it wasn't until last year that a tragic accident happened with the ride. Cedar Point probably had plans to open a totally but different coaster in a different area of the park. But after what happened, those plans may have been put on hold so they can work on a massive new coaster to replace Top Thrill Dragster. Plotting a new coaster takes a lot of time, and this could very likely be what Cedar Point is doing right now. They can first make sure they're able to replace Top Thrill Dragster with an awesome new coaster, and then they'll announce its closure and get to work on construction for the new attraction. It's also possible Cedar Point is just leaving Top Thrill Dragster as is so they can delay their next coaster by a year. Cedar Point is owned by Cedar Fair, and the Cedar Fair chain has many other parks that are overdue for new coasters. Maybe they are delaying Cedar Point's coaster by a year by leaving the Top Thrill Dragster as BNO and not announcing its closure, so they can open coasters at some of their other parks this year and push Cedar Point's to the year after. If Cedar Point is working on replacing Top Thrill Dragster, they won't get away with just putting a mediocre ride in its place. Cedar Point will need to replace it with something massive. I know Theme Park Predictions was talking about Cedar Point potentially opening up a B&M Giga as a replacement, and while they may be able to do that and get away with it, there may be a better way. B&M's tallest coaster so far is 325 feet, but we know they're for sure able to go up at least 350 feet. When the Knott's Berry Farm Giga was rumored to be in planning stages, we saw leaked blueprints that showed the B&M Giga having a 349-foot drop. That means B&M is willing to go 350 feet for the right price. So I'm thinking maybe Cedar Point can somehow get a 375-foot B&M Giga coaster that features a 400-foot drop. That would give them an awesome new coaster that could very possibly become the best in the park, plus they'd be able to consider it a strata coaster, so it would be like they removed an old strata coaster for a new one. Yeah, maybe it wouldn't be as tall as Top Thrill Dragster, but the reliability and capacity would surely make up for it. Now, I have no idea if Cedar Point will be able to fit this in this area of the park, but Theme Park Predictions has a few videos on Cedar Point potentially opening a B&M Giga, and he goes into detail on how they could fit such a massive coaster there. But I do think the most likely scenario is Cedar Point removing Top Thrill Dragster and replacing it with a B&M Giga. I'm just not sure they'd be able to get away with that. Plus, Cedar Point has a history of surprising us, and if they removed an amazing coaster, wouldn't they want to put something even better and crazier than no one was expecting? I was thinking about it when I came up with a crazy idea. What if Cedar Point opened the world's tallest coaster? Now hold on, before you think I'm crazy, hear me out. Top Thrill Dragster has been closed for a while, but what if that's all for a reason? What if Cedar Point is planning something insane that would shake the coaster industry and finally break King of the Cos record? We've all heard the idea that Cedar Point could change the launch system on Top Thrill Dragster from a hydraulic launch to LSMs, which are way more reliable. But what if it's bigger than that? I know I'm in dreamland right now, but what if Cedar Point was planning to make Top Thrill Dragster taller? They could have Intamin come in and reinforce the structure, add another 40 feet of track or so to the top of the coaster somehow, and boom! You have the world's tallest coaster. If Cedar Point were to upgrade the launch system and make Top Thrill Dragster taller, they could definitely get away with that as their next coaster. It wouldn't cost them as much as a normal coaster and would give them an even better record-breaking machine that actually is reliable. If this is what Cedar Point is planning, it would also make total sense why they left Top Thrill Dragster alone this year. They are planning to have Intamin come in and make the coaster taller, faster, and more reliable. They'd probably have to put LSMs on the vertical track on the way up the top hat as well. But who cares? While I personally think Cedar Point will be removing Top Thrill Dragster and replacing it, it's fun to speculate on ways Cedar Point can wow us without spending an insane amount of money. It would cost a ton of money for Cedar Point to remove Top Thrill Dragster and even more to replace it with something. So maybe Cedar Point decides to spend a little bit less and make the coaster taller, better, more insane, and more reliable. Or more likely, Cedar Point doesn't want to deal with Intamin and the problems this coaster brought with it and would rather start new with a brand new coaster than to try and fix a problematic Intamin. Cedar Point's next coaster is a very fun topic to talk about. And with all the Top Thrill Dragster craziness, it looks like whatever they're gonna get next will be amazing. But there are some other Cedar Fair parks that are about to open insane new coasters this year. Coasters that would be better than any other Cedar Fair have opened in a while, and some of Cedar Fair's smaller parks may be looking at a huge treat. That's why I made an entire video on the 3+ coasters I think Cedar Fair will open in 2023. This year is going to be an awesome year for coasters, and I think Cedar Fair may just be leading the way.